Guys, one of the final videos, all right, guys, one of the final videos that we have for Thursday's edition of the show. Again, I can't tell you how I'm very appreciative for the people who watch this video. I hope you guys enjoy it. All right. Southern Mississippi, the Golden Eagles of Southern Miss, they're ready to embark on Will Hall's fourth season. And I really just want to see this happen. And see it happen, I mean, I want the Golden Eagles to go 9-3 this year. You know, I really want this to happen. The Golden Eagles, I think that they have a quarterback room that I like now is, you know, Tate Rodemaker could just be Billy Wiles, but at least, you know, Tate Rodemaker played more football than Billy Wiles. They got to get quarterback right. And I think that Will Hall, in terms of, you know, calling plays, he was okay at it, but, you know, he was very good at Tulane. Everywhere he's been, Will Hall was a really good offensive coordinator. But in terms of being a head coach here at the Division I level, the offense hasn't been there. We're just going to call it how it is, and Will Hall would tell you that. You know, Ty Keys, Zach Wilkie, none of these quarterbacks have even started for 2 years for the Golden Eagles. They've had a new quarterback every single season, and it's because none of them have been consistent, and they haven't really identified quarterback well, and they haven't developed it well. And it's year 4, and it's time for quarterback. I know that you talk about, Will Hall's talked about all the talent at quarterback. It's time for consistency at quarterback. It's time for Sam Gregg and this offensive line to start blocking, and it's time for some explosive plays in the passing game. The only time when, I mean, Frank Gore might have been the dang best quarterback Will Hall has ever had at Southern Miss. So Will Hall, it's time for this offense to start rolling, and I think it can. I have confidence in Will Hall to be a really good head coach. He was a great coach at North Alabama or South Al, and at Tulane, and the recruiting is very, very good. Okay, the recruiting everywhere. They got Frank Gore. They got some guys on the defensive line that I really like, and they're recruiting this footprint awesome. So it's time. I know that you have a lot of depth, but it's time to solidify stars on this roster. Stars win. Jason Brownlee wins you games. Frank Gore Jr. wins you games. The Nasty Bunch, like we've seen that it could be a really good defense. So now they got a new defensive coordinator, okay? They didn't exactly replace Austin Armstrong the best, so they have a new defensive coordinator, but their offensive coordinator I really like. It's Chip Long. He was at Notre Dame. He was at Memphis. He's worked with Will Hall before. Somebody who's had real success, you know, calling plays at the Division I level, and I think that Will Hall's still a good offensive mind, but now he's going to be able to see the defense. He's going to be able to see special teams. They got to limit penalties. They got to be a more disciplined football team. And they have all this talent. It's time to see them put it together. I'm a huge believer in Will Hall. I absolutely do not want Will Hall getting fired. And I'm so glad that they were able to bounce back from their last year. They were in such a downward spiral that it could have been the end of Will Hall. When you lose 55-3 to South Al, you know, that was the low point in Will Hall's career. Just I know that sounds, you know, very dramatic, but it actually is reality that was probably the down point in Will Hall's career. And because Will Hall has won everywhere he's been, and this has been tougher, this has been longer than he's expected them to win. It's time. It's year 4. They have everybody in there that they like, and they're recruiting at a great level. John White's a really good quarterback out of Madison, Mississippi. So, you know, I like this Southern Miss team. All right. So the schedule is going to be pretty interesting. All right. Now, USF, apparently, I thought USF's defense is terrible, but they're going to be playing USF, okay, September 14th, and that's at The Rock. That place better be rocking, okay? Then we have, Southern Miss goes to Kentucky. They go to Lexington. They're going to be playing a night game there. That's going to be a bleep ton of fun. I'm not going to curse, but going to Lexington Saturday night, I like that it's Saturday night, okay? And I think that hopefully they can pose an upset threat there. They're like a 23-point underdog there to Kentucky. I just want to see that game be really tight. all right, and playing Florida State. I mean, Florida State, look at Florida State. Florida State ended up being, one of the best teams in college football, and with Jordan Travis likely a playoff team, an undefeated ACC champion they had to go play. But this year they're out of conference. South Florida, all right, they have good quarterback play at South Florida. Alex Golish, really good offensive coordinator, just like Josh Heupel, kind of the Josh Heupel of, this new, I guess, is it American Conference, or I don't even know where South Florida's playing now. They're in a new conference, but they're going to have explosive offense there, put it that way. That's going to be a tough game. The defense is going to have to shine, the new defensive coordinator at Southern Miss. Southeastern Louisiana's got to be a W, and definitively so. If you're 2-1, that's unbelievable. But you got to go 2-2 at the very least, okay? It's tough how good South Florida's getting rave reviews, and that scares me. But Jacksonville State on the road. Again, Jack State was a pretty good team, but they're moving up division this year. You got to find a way to win that game if you're going to be anything worth your salt. Then you get Louisiana. You get the two Louisiana schools. I think you beat Monroe last year. Get Louisiana at home. That's a very winnable game. You got to win that game. You got to go on the road and beat Louisiana Monroe. Then Arkansas State visits you. Arkansas State put up 1 billion points on you last year. Wonder if they return that quarterback. But Butch Jones, mobile quarterback offense, that's been tough. Then you go to James Madison. James Madison, dang, really good team, really good program. That should be tough. Marshall goes kind of down a division, I want to say, into the Sunbelt. Marshall's a team that, just beat Notre Dame a couple of years ago. Marshall's going to have some talent. Luckily, you get that game at home. You can win that game. And then Texas State. Texas State is a rising star program with G.J. Kinney. So I'm not saying that the schedule's easy, but let's point out the games. Let's see if we can get Southern Miss at least to 8 or 9 wins. Southeastern Louisiana, let's say it's a win. Jacksonville State, it's a win. That's 2. Louisiana and Monroe. Okay, so the two Louisiana schools were at 4. Arkansas State, you win, that's 5. Give them Marshall, that's 6. The games that are now the toss-up games out of the last 6 games. Texas State on the road. That would be a great win. That would get you to 7. But Texas State, Kentucky, South Florida. Kentucky, South Florida, Texas State, James Madison. Okay, those are your 4 really tough games. So where did I pick out the wins? Southeastern Louisiana, Jacksonville State, that's 2. Louisiana and Monroe. So I have 4. Arkansas State is 5. And then I picked Marshall. That only gets you to 6. So if you lose James Madison, you lose Texas State, that's 2 losses. I'm missing some games on the schedule. I apologize. So I'm going to read you guys the roster. We're going to see how I think this team is very experienced. I like the wide receivers. Again, I like these players, but you eventually have to consolidate stars. I know you have depth, but you eventually have to consolidate stars. Okay, no wonder. There's a couple of games late in the year. I only mentioned 12 games. So I had like the 8 and I had like the 6 and 4. Then they play South Al at home. You got to win that. There's a new coach there. You can win that game. And then at Troy, oh boy, Troy is going to be, that's going to be incredibly tough. Troy still has their coach, John Summerall, there. Troy's going to be really tough. So it's tough out of the schedule. Like again, this isn't the most fun, friendly schedule. You're going to have to beat the tough games like Jacksonville State. So luckily, the middle of the season, you could get hot. I have them winning 4 straight in the middle of the year. Jacksonville State, Louisiana, Louisiana Monroe, and Arkansas State. I have them winning 4 in the middle of the year. Then you're going to have to split. You're going to have to split JMU and Marshall. And then you're going to have to try to win 2 out of the last 3, Texas State or South Al, all right, to get to 8-4. I have Troy as losses. I'll tell you the losses in here. I have Troy. I have JMU as dead losses. Troy, JMU, and then I'm going to also have Kentucky, and I'm going to say, who's a tougher game at home, South Florida or Marshall? Boy, early in the year, I'm going to say Marshall, unfortunately, at home's a loss. I just think Marshall's pretty good. So maybe you beat South Florida, and that would be unbelievable. So now just looking at the roster here for Will Hall, for Southern Miss, again, like I really like this roster. I listen to Coach Hall's press conferences. He seems to love this team, and I like this team as well. And they have a really fun schedule. It's a hard schedule though. Like I said, it's a hard schedule. So we look right now, Tate Rodemaker's listed as QB1. Like, I think going into Kentucky, like if you start Ethan Crawford, it's hard then to put in Tate Rodemaker. Usually you go with Rodemaker, and then if Rodemaker's not that good against Kentucky or elsewhere, then you put in Ethan, and Ethan could be your quarterback for the next 2 years. Ethan's your quarterback of the future, and then John White will be competing with Ethan. Okay? John White, I also see playing at Southern Miss with Will Hall at least 2 years as well. I see Crawford playing 2 years at starter, but Crawford, again, like his throwing accuracy is improving. We all know he's electric and great running the football. It's a dual threat quarterback. So, Ty Mims, really good receiver. Dalton Davis listed on this list. Dakota Thompson, Chandler Pittman, big-time wide receivers, made some plays for Southern Miss before. Keyshawn Buckley. TK Keys, probably the brother of Ty Keys also. Talked about the offensive line. There's a lot of experience on this offensive line, so I really like that. They got to stay healthy, okay? Got Zach Conte, got Drew Lawson, Deontay Lucas, and Greg Nunnery. These are 2 transfers that are older. That's good. Get old at the offensive line. Jaleel Clemens, big-time player on the defensive line. Okay? Jalen Williams, Brodarius Lewis. So this defensive line should be really good. And I like how old these seniors are. I like how old the secondary is. So I'm pumped. I can't wait for the start of the season. August 31st at Kentucky, right? What's the rule there? Just don't get embarrassed. I want to win that game, obviously, but it's got to be close in the fourth quarter if you're even going to have a shot at pulling out a W. But yeah, Southern Miss. I think Rodemaker will start at Kentucky. He's experienced. You know, you got him for the transfer portal. You probably paid him some money to come to Southern Miss, right? He's going to probably be starting most likely. If Ethan wins that, it'll be interesting. It means Ethan's just dealing in camp. Tate Rodemaker is a prohibited favorite. Ethan's going to have to just flat out beat him badly if he's going to start at Kentucky. All right. I think it could be Ethan's show. I think that John White's still probably a year away. Again, really thrilled and excited about John White and his career. I'm really looking forward to it. Knock on wood for good health. I think Ethan could really be a solid quarterback too. All right. But again, you got to push the ball downfield. Who's going to be the quarterback between Ethan and Tate? Who's going to be the quarterback that can accurately hit the deep ball, can move this offense, and can have some explosive plays for the passing game? That's been the Achilles heel of Will Hall. I know he hates hearing that because he's an offensive guy. He's a quarterback. But he knows this offense has to get rolling, and this DC hire has to be the one, has to be really, really good. He hired him from Eastern Illinois. I have faith in Will Hall. He hired Austin Armstrong. He's won everywhere he's been. He has good support staff members, okay? I'm ready for a big year for Southern Miss and the Golden Eagles.